Hello friends, today I'm going to show you some number methods in JavaScript and how to use them. So let's go ahead and have a look at a brief what methods we would be using here. JavaScript number methods. So number methods can be used in all JavaScript numbers. The first one comes with toString that returns a number as a string. ToExponential returns a number written in exponential notation. ToFixed returns a number written with a number of decimals. ToPrecision returns a number written with a specified length. Value of returns a number as a number. Now next we will have variables to numbers. So a number method returns a number converted from its argument. ParseFloat passes its argument and returns a floating point number. ParseInt passes its argument and returns a whole number. Next we have object methods. Number.isInteger, where number is an object and isInteger is the method. That returns true if the argument is an integer. Number.isSafeInteger, that also returns true if the argument is a safe integer. Number.parseFloat converts a string to a number. Number.parseInt converts a string to a whole number. Let's see them in action. Okay, so let's begin with toString. For saving some time, I have already written these programs, and we will check on running them and see how it works. Okay, so the first one comes as toString. So this toString method returns a number as a string. Okay, so it will convert a number into a string. So all number methods can be used on any type of numbers, literals, variables, or expressions. Okay, so the first one is we have a number 1, 2, 3, and then we will try to convert that into a string variable x1, and then we will print it. So let's run this and have a look at the output. So here you can see in our browser shows in the console. You can see that it's the first one is printing the number, and then it's converting all of them into string variables. Here also in the debug console, you can see that it's not looking better in the debug console. So if you look at this one on the browser, it shows that these are all string variables. Okay, so that's about the string method. Now moving ahead, we will go to the toExponential method. So what is toExponential? The toExponential method returns a string with a number rounded and written using the exponential notation. Okay, so the first one we have is a number which is 9.656. Now, when we try to convert that into exponential, let's have a look at the output. Okay, so 2 exponential will give you an exponential number as output. Okay, so you can see that x1 is 9.66. It's an exponential notation. Okay, exponential values, these are exponential values. The 9.66, it's rounding off to the next digit, and it's showing the next two decimals. Okay, it's rounding off to the next two decimals. This one is rounding off to the next four decimals, and the last one is rounding off to the next six decimals. Okay, so that's how it's working on. Now after exponential, let's move ahead to the two fixed. The two fixed, it will return a string with the numbers written with a specified number of decimals. Okay, so let's stop this and rerun the program. You can see the number is 9656. So let's change this to 113. You can see that to fixed 0, it's not doing anything. To fixed 2, so it's returning a string with uh, the decimal precision of whatever we have mentioned to fourth decimal. So you can see 1 1 1 2 3 4, up to 4 places. Okay, to fixed up to 6 places. So the decimal is up to 6 places, so it's rounding off, and then it's also no, it's not rounding, I'm sorry, it's only giving the value up to the number of places, decimal places that we have put in the two fixed bracket. Okay, So this one most mostly be used in case of money. In case of money, if you want to put the decimal like in uh, dollars and what do you say in cents, so you can put the precision decimal precision in bracket with two fixed. Okay. Now we will move on to precision. So to precision will return a string with a number written with a specified length. So whatever length we specify, that will be shown up in to precision. Okay, so for that, let's stop and restart the program. Now this one, to precision is showing if the number is 9.653, I'll put this as 9.8852 and change this one. So you can see that it's showing the first one is for no precision, and then it's for 2, and then for 4, then for 6. Okay, so this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 gives us up to 5 places, 4 gives us up to 3 places, 2 gives us only a 1 place. Okay, so this one is returning a string value with the specified length. So it's also calculating the decimal point along with the length. That's why when we mentioned 6, it's calculating the decimal point and 6 values after that. Okay, so that's how it is doing. Okay, so let's say we will put in more numbers and then we will refresh that. The output should be here. Yeah, in case of 6, it's only taking up 6 values, 5 values. In case of 1, in case of 2, it's taking up 1 value. In case of 4, it's taking up 3 values. Okay, so that's about 2 precision. Now let's move on to the next one, that is the value of this one. So this one is the value of. Let's run that one and see the output. So the output for the value of this one is returning a number as a number, and 123 dot value of any number we put in there, it will show the value of that number. So if we, instead of let's say, what was a dot value of 256? Okay, so here in bracket, let's, if I change that to 550, I give the output whatever the value, it's showing the value. And then, so whatever, you can perform calculations in it, and it's only showing the value of whatever the output is. So if this one is 100 plus 230, that's going to give me 330. Okay, so that is all about value of. Moving on, we will go for the conversion of variables into numbers. So the first one is comes up is the number method, where, yeah, so this one, I'll stop this. This one is showing us the number method. It's only this number value. You can see that here I have the number method. So the first one, number true, it's showing us 1. The second one, number false, it's showing us 0. Then for number which has a string value of 10, it's still converting that to a number value, any leading or trailing spaces, it's still able to figure out the number. Then decimal places, 10.10.20, 10.33, that is for 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth position. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 10.33 is returning a decimal. Then 10 comma 33, it's returning it as not a number. And 10 space 33, it also returns as a not a number. And then any string value, if we try to push in, then it will also convert that into not a number. So moving ahead, we will move on to the next one, that is number method used on dates. Okay, so number method on dates. This is the number method for dates. In this case, we will use a number with a new date and pass on a date to it and try to print the value or pick up the value whichever is in the date. So for that, let's test this one. With this one, you can see that the value which is passed inside the date and trying to convert it, it returns us 0. If I change this date value, so let's say 1971, it will give me a different output. You can see this. Okay, this value is changed now if I change the date value. So this is about date. Okay, so any date, if I change this one to a number 2, then also it will give me a different value. So the value changes according to the date. Now moving on, we will move ahead to the parse int. So the parse int is parsing a string and returns a whole number. So this will pass on a string to a whole number and it will give us the result. So let's test this one. Okay, so this one is the first one is a negative value, so it's giving us an output of negative output -10, so it's giving us a -10. -10.33, it's only picking up the non-decimal part and releasing the decimal thing. The whole number, it's converting all of them into whole numbers. Okay, so no decimals. If there is a string before the number, it's showing us that it's not a number. Okay, so that's about the parse int. Let's move ahead to the parse float. So the parse float is parsing a string and it's returning a number, and spaces are not allowed. Only the first number is returned. Okay, so here, if we try to test this one, it's showing the parse float. Now for the parse float, it will it will parse us a string and it returns a number. So whatever values that we parse, its float is returning that to a number. So if suppose this is 50 point, it's almost the same as the previous one. That's why. So if I change these numbers and I try to print it, you can see that it's giving me all numbers. Though we are passing it values, it's still giving us numbers, and it's from the decimal, it's picking up all the decimal. So that's the difference between the integer and float. So float values remains the same as decimal. The remaining, it will try to convert that to whole numbers. If it's a complete string, so it will not be able to convert that. Now let's move ahead to the next one with number object methods. So what are the object methods we have? The object methods that we have, the is integer, the is safe integer, and uh, dot number dot parse float, and then dot parse int. So these are all object methods because we have a number dot. So the number is an object dot its method. Okay. The first one is number dot is integer. So let's go ahead and test this one. So this one is returning us of true or a false value. It will return a boolean value, true or a false. If it's is an integer, it will return a true. If not, it will return a false. So first of all, even if we pass a decimal, it will still pick it up as not an integer, so it will return a false. So that's the case of is integer. Moving ahead to the is safe integer. So the is safe integer is an integer that can be exactly represented as a double precision number, and this method will return a true or a false depending upon the variable that is passed inside. So while checking this one, we saw that it's returning one true and one false. So the first one, we passed it as an integer. So it says that it is a safe integer, but if we are passing on a value that is a large number, it says that it's not a safe integer. So the reason is because the safe integers are integers that fall within a range from -2 to the power 53 minus 1 to positive to plus 2 to the power 53 minus 1. So any numbers that fall within that range will be considered as a safe integer. Moving ahead, we will go to the number dot parse float. So now the parse float is parses a string and returns a number. Spaces are allowed, but only the first number is returned. So if it's like a decimal, then it will only return the first number, the whole number. Now looking at it, we passed it couple of values and it's trying to convert them into float. So if we are passing it a whole number, it's returning a whole number. If we pass it to a decimal, so that's also doing a decimal. So it's similar as your pass float. It's just that object dot. Okay, it's using that object dot thing. So that's how it works. Almost pretty much same as the pass float, general pass float. Okay. Now moving ahead, we will go to the number dot parse int. I think it should be the same like the general parse int, but it's just with an object that is number dot. Okay. So, however, let's start and run this one. So as we passed it all the negative numbers, so it's also giving us the return in negative numbers. So if test we test the values, it's returning us all whole numbers. Okay, it's returning all integer values. Even though we pass it a decimal value, it still gives us a whole number. And if there is a string at the beginning, then it will treat it as not a number. Okay, so that's the output for number dot parseInt. Now let's move ahead to the. Oh, I think that's the last one. I'm sorry. Okay, so that was the last one for all the number methods. I'll put these codes on GitHub and share that with you, so you can have a look at it and try to test them, download and test them. So that was all about this video. We will have a couple of videos coming. We will have a few more videos coming in. So until then, stay tuned, stay connected, and happy coding. Thank you.